and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk. There's power in truth and Power Talks, and we believe that truth will set you free, and we welcome you this good morning. Good morning, Melody. How are you today?
I'm just fantastic. Good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners.
Yeah, I think our new theme song is distracting me because I always want to sing along. I'm not sure I'll ever get used to it. The listeners are going to go, "Oh my gosh!" Well, we had a baby.
I'm hoping the listeners out there are tapping their foot and singing
too.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
But anyway,
we talked the whole night through. Good morning. Gonna have to put that movie in, I guess. Gonna have to watch the movie. Oh goodness! We did have a baby yesterday. I sent Melody some pictures. I sent her some more this morning. He's healthy. Mama's doing good. Had to have a C-section, which we knew. That's why it was scheduled. But everybody's doing well and good. We're glad to have him here. We had kind of a up and down roller coaster pregnancy, and everything is good and fine. The Lord has blessed abundantly. And oh my gosh, this child has hair. Oh, it's not that little fine baby hair. It is a hair. And I sent Melody a picture of my granddaughter. She didn't want to let him go, and it was my turn to hold the baby. And she wouldn't let him go, and she just cuddled up to me, and she was falling asleep on my shoulder with her arm wrapped around baby brother. She didn't want to give anybody else a turn, so yeah, it was fun. She's 10 years old, and the other big brother is 7. And they seem to be getting along right now, but I don't know how well that'll work once baby comes home and takes over all the attention in the house. But anyway, everybody's good.
Well, that's just absolutely fantastic, and they're just absolutely beautiful pictures. And thank you for sharing them with me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's always nice to have something like that because there's so much dark out in the world, and certainly this is something that, and we thank you for sharing it with the listeners also. So, and I'm going to go. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're going to go what?
Well, I was going to go into something dark.
Well, let's talk about decorating first. Can we talk about decorating for Christmas? I don't know if you've had time to do much decorating or if you do much decorating. I'm still working on it. I love to decorate, but I don't like taking it down, and I have to leave it up so long because it has to last through the 2 Christmases I have in January. So anyway, I'm still working on that. And my little granddaughter loves to decorate, but she didn't get into that when she was I guess she was distracted by other things. Yesterday they were out playing on the swing. It was a pretty day. It was chilly, a little windy, but it wasn't too bad. And they were out playing on the swing that their papa had put up out in a tree this summer. But if you remember, Melania decorated, the First Lady always decorates the White House, and it's a big deal, I guess, and they have an open house. I usually miss it. I don't sit and watch that. And I have this article, Melody, that's about the decorating of that, and they're claiming that she had a little secret troll that in her decorating that was supposed to kind of be a little rib at Michelle Obama and all her healthy eating talk, and we remember what she did to the school lunches. She tried to starve our children. But one of the rooms is decorated in candy. Everything is candy in this one room in the White House, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Now, a lot of people bake candy and give candy or breads or, the different things for Christmas, the fruitcake. I've never been a fruitcake person, but people give that. And I remember when I was a kid, Mom and Dad bought candy very seldom, but they did buy candy at Christmas, and they bought fruit at Christmas. So we would have oranges at Christmas. They bought that great big, huge box of the assorted chocolates, and that was on the coffee table. And ribbon candy. Do you remember ribbon candy?
Yes, I do.
They would buy a big bag of ribbon candy.
Hated it.
Oh, I liked it.
Hated it.
You hated ribbon candy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I preferred chocolates.
Well, they had the chocolates there. So Dad was one of those that he'd put his, he'd kind of push in on the chocolate to see what was in it. But anyway, I thought it was kind of fascinating, and of course the fact that it was even newsworthy is comical to me. But Melania had the one room there that they decorated with candy, and I thought that was pretty good. I got some candy from somebody in Sunday school Sunday, and it was all homemade, and I can't seem to keep out of it, and I'm supposed to be dieting. It's not been a good thing for me. So anyway, okay. I'm done now. You can bring your dark back into.
Well, you're not supposed to diet prior to the holidays. It's supposed to be
after.
After, silly girl. You got
your
dates mixed up. You got your dates mixed up.
I'm always trying to lose a pound here or there, so it's always something. I'm not very good at it.
With all the talk of all the sexual harassment and that we've been hearing in the news, there was this was updated yesterday. There's an NFL team, and along with all the kneeling and so forth, there was an NFL team that came up for sale. And that is the Carolina Panthers. The owner and founder, Jerry Richardson, unexpectedly announced that he was selling the franchise after the season ends. So, it certainly rocked the Carolinas, and, all kinds of, things are talked about and so forth that, perhaps there was something more to it with all this sexual harassment coming out and pointing. But he's going to step away from daily responsibilities, Richardson, to focus on the sale of the team, which will come with a multi-billion-dollar price tag. He's owned it for nearly 25 years, and so there's a lot of questions as to why he's selling, but more importantly, who is going to be buying it and keep the team in Charlotte. So the article goes on in discussions, and I heard a little bit about this yesterday and so forth. There were a couple of potential suitors that were coming out of the woodwork, that said that they were interested in perhaps purchasing it. But the one person that had expressed interest was Colin Kaepernick.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting, and I even heard someone say that if it wasn't him that purchased the team, I'm not sure exactly who it was that said that they would make sure that he got back out on the field. So, and a lot of people really don't understand, and I think are confused. You could, because we expressed our dismay at him kneeling and the rest of the players kneeling at the anthem, it surprises me that people think this is just silly, that he had a right to display his free speech, but yet they don't see, and they'll talk about, well, he was just there to express his concerns about this, and that, but they can't even grasp, well, if that was his concern, why did he have to do it during the anthem? He could have done it before. He could have done it after. But so it surprises me that the shocking difference of thinking out there, and it's hard to explain to the liberals. It's hard to explain to those who think he didn't do anything wrong that it wasn't the conservatives that were against his free speech. It was the timing. It was the arena that, if he wanted to go do his free speech, go let him, speech all he wants.
It's the hypocrisy.
It's the hypocrisy, yes.
And, the liberals that are whining and complaining, and they are so spoiled. Kaepernick, he esteemed Castro.
Yes.
So let's not say he's trying to practice freedom.
Yes.
And he put down the police here in the United States. And they say, well, it's not at our military when they take a knee on the national anthem, but it's exactly what it is. It's against this nation. Yep. It's only a song. Okay? It is only a song, but it is our national anthem. and they don't understand the history of this nation, and they are spoiled. Kaepernick makes millions of dollars. I don't think he's got the money to buy a franchise. Maybe he could kick in a buck or two, but I don't think he's got the money it would take to buy a football team.
I don't think it. He doesn't have billions. No, he doesn't.
No, and that's what it would take. And although he has more than he should.
Although it is.
And he's really not that good a player. That's why they weren't playing him.
And, it will be interesting, because we know as Mr. Trump, he has been after a team for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets involved in the purchase.
Oh, that would be fun. Would that not be fun? We would watch the mainstream media go, absolutely. This might be when we get to see a true conniption.
Yes.
I would be just, I'd almost pay money if I had any. I'd pay money to see that. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to tweet Donald Trump. I'm going to tweet the president and suggest that he buy this team just for the fun of it, because we want to watch mainstream media blow up. But you know what? He could give the money to, I lost his son's name. What's his son's name? I always want to call him Byron, and that's not right. What's the president's son's name? The youngest one. What's his name? Oh, gosh. Lost my mind. He should give him the money and let him buy it.
But it would be kind of fun and interesting, so...
that wasn't too dark. That wasn't too dark.
But anything after the announcements of your grandbaby and the news today is...
Well, and next week we're going to have Mike Cutler on. And I had him on CSC Talk Radio yesterday, and his daughter-in-law was having a baby the same day, and they had a little boy. So we were both, he stayed pretty focused, but the baby was born and they were sending pictures while I was on the air. I was a little bit distracted while I was on the air yesterday. But everything is fine.
We'll have him here, and we'll have him here next week, and
on Wednesday.
So looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. And he's a good guy. I always think when I talk about this girl, it's dark news. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, my favorite person to not like. She reminds me of the popular girl that was only popular because she was rich. She wasn't necessarily good looking. She was just popular in junior high because she was rich and everybody wanted to, and she would get people to do things that were bad just because she was not honest. Anyway, Debbie Wasserman Schultz reminds me of that kind of character. It says here that the Independent Government Watchdog Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust, it's called FACT, named Democrat Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz one of Congress' most ethically challenged members for her role in the House IT scandal. Now, if everybody remembers, she's the one who kept these guys on and kept paying them after they'd been fired, and they have been indicted on charges of conspiracy against the United States. Evidence gathered in a cybersecurity probe in the House of Representatives revealed a litany of violations, although the two aides have not yet been charged in that probe. But FACT filed a complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics in July after Wasserman Schultz continued employing Awan for months after the Capitol Police had fired him and escorted him out. And anyway, I put at the top of that, lock her up. I don't like Debbie a whole lot. Just lock her up. I hear music. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. It is a good morning. And Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually, there is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and 2 or 3 people have helped me now. I've had a text. I've had the producer sent me a message on Skype. It's Barron Trump is his name. I don't know. Please forgive me, President Trump, that I couldn't remember your son's name. I always want to think it's Byron, and Byron is was my dad's name, his middle name, and but it's Barron, and he is so tall. You know, as a mother, I kind of look at that with these boys. I mean, he's so tall. Of course, I don't think they have to worry about keeping him in jeans or keeping him in pants. They've got that covered, but I know I've got some grandsons that are growing like leaps and bounds. They can't keep them in jeans and shoes because they're growing so fast. And I had boys did that too, eat you out of house and home. I have a Democrat here that's actually saying good things about President Donald Trump, which is a rarity, don't you think? This is Joe Lieberman. And it says in this article, and this is from Newsmax, it's by Jason Devaney. He said, President Donald Trump is right to take an America First approach to foreign policy, and that's coming from former Senator Joe Lieberman during an appearance on Newsmax. They have a little TV, too, you know. Lieberman was asked about Trump's national security speech on Monday that outlined America's strategy to move forward. It's America First, which, frankly, it always should be America First. Our foreign policy, our defense policy, should always be about American freedom, American security, American prosperity. But this president, by this document, is fully engaged in the world to protect our security, our freedom, and our prosperity, and I found it, in that sense, to be reassuring. I don't agree with everything about it, but I think it's a strong statement and it's an honest statement. It's realistic. This is coming from a once very astute Democrat. You know, he was one of the strong forces in Congress at one time, and he's saying that he thinks he's doing the right thing. He doesn't agree with everything he's doing, but he agrees that this is the right thing to do, and he finds it reassuring. We can never be the leader in the world or destined to be unless we're strong here at home, and that begins economically, of course. If we're strong in the world, that helps our prosperity here at home. That's certainly the way it's worked overall in years since the end of the Second World War, when we really assumed global leadership. I think this was a statement Monday by the president of global leadership. He's saying that he's, exemplifying leadership, and he's being strong in it, and he's all for that. I find that refreshing that finally a Democrat come out and say something good about America. They all think we're bigots and racists, and we're not giving enough to the poor, and we're not doing this. And I saw on, it was Kennedy. I don't know if you ever watch Kennedy on Fox Business. She's a libertarian, and but I get a big kick out of her sometimes. I don't always like to watch her, but she had Larry Elder on last night. I don't know if you've ever watched him or listened to him. He has the radio show. I don't listen to him, obviously, but I do see his tweets and see him when he's on one of the other shows there on Fox on the evenings. But he's a black man, a conservative, a Christian, and he talks about some of the policies that the Democrats promote that are supposed to help women, help the poor, help the black, and in all fairness, they hurt them all. They go back and they hurt them all because he particularly was going off on the minimum wage and how that closes businesses or they have to cut back, and it ends up hurting the very people that they say they're helping. And of course, we've seen how truly they feel about women here lately. But anyway, I was encouraged by Joe Lieberman. I have to give him kudos for being honest. Just for being honest.
You know what really amazes me is that even a discussion of making America first is in today's world. I mean, that is just, you would just think that that's how government, that's how Washington, that's how, all of those elected folks that go there. I mean, it's just, it should be just a given. But I think so too. And to make statements and actually win an election. And other elections were won with the same thing. Previous elections have been made with, making America first and America great and so forth. I mean, this isn't the first and only one. But the fact remains that it has a powerful message that it means that isn't their agenda. That isn't there. And it's I don't know, it's just
crazy.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. We have a caller. We have Bill in Arizona. Bill, how are you today?
Good morning,
and Merry
ladies.
Christmas.
Good
Merry
morning.
Christmas to you, sir.
Well, same to you.
Thank you.
I believe after having listened to Melody's Putter program for many, 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 many years now, I'm going to just simply follow along with her regular host on Tuesdays and her regular host on Thursdays, a regular co-host every day just about, and say that I think that what's happening here is the fellow who owns the NFL team simply recognizes that now is the time to sell. This is the time to sell. Get out while you're at the top.
Get out
while you're at the top. Take this money off the table and go find something safer. Maybe. I mean, if it were me, she would have heard from me before I even decided to announce the team was for sale, because I would be looking for somebody to turn all of the proceeds into Comex bars. And I would fill up a safe with Comex bars, and I would simply tell the IRS, if you think you can get in my safe, come on down. I think
I want on
what
Bill's
you're going
Christmas list.
I think you're going to see an avalanche begin when there's a buyer that steps forward for that NFL football team. And I think you're going to see the same kind of thing happen there is going to happen at a lot of other places. But the problem is that he's the first seller. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of buyers in line behind whoever's stupid enough to take his team.
Well, you know, Bill, I mean, you are right, because I think, too, with this tax reform and so forth, we know you'll probably see a lot of mergers and acquisitions next year. And
if they make part. Melody, if that's assuming they make it to the point where they can merger before they just blatantly collapse in illiquidity and bankruptcy.
True. But I mean, if things stay as is and so forth, you'll see it. And I agree with you. So, but
I think it's going to be fun to watch.
Yes,
I think you're right. Wouldn't it be? You know, what if a bunch of rich patriots that actually love this nation started buying up these teams and turned them around? That'd be pretty cool.
Well, frankly, Beth, and I think that patriot and rich are a rich patriot is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
You know, I have a group that I don't know why I'm getting their emails. I sent them one back, but they didn't answer it. But it's called Mad Millionaires, Patriot Millionaires, and of course they're against the president and sending me emails so they want my support. I'm thinking I'm not sending any support.
Well, they better form their circle a little bit tighter if they want somebody support, because I don't think they're going to get much support from anybody. Doesn't have terrible, nasty things to say about Mr. Trump.
You know, I was thinking the other day that, you know, they get on there constantly, and I know I do that too, I generalize, but the mainstream media would have you believe that nobody in America likes the president. Nobody in America likes the president, except a few of us deplorables. But that's not true, or he wouldn't have got elected. And was it last week or the week before when he had the black pastor that was standing up there with him and his family, and what he was saying about what the president's trying to do. You know, it just goes against everything the mainstream media is trying to picture as to our president. You know, they say he's mentally ill, he's incapable, and they call him an idiot, and they do all this, and it's just, we have lost, and I think this went back several administrations, where we've lost that respect for the office. Even if you don't like the man, you have to respect the office and the people that put him in there. We don't have to agree with them, but maybe I should redefine respect.
We long ago, Beth, and lost respect for the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And we have demonstrated that lack of respect by becoming increased ignorant of what all of it has to say. My way of respecting those documents is to carry a copy with me at all times and to give out free copies of it to anybody who will take it. And I'm finding fewer and fewer people as time goes on who will take my free pocket copy that I pass out. They're afraid of it. They don't want to know anything about it, and they're not going to give it the respect that it's due. So if they are going to give it the respect that it's due, why should I give them any?
And you know something else? We stopped respecting life in this nation. We no longer respect life.
We did that a long time ago when we started medicalizing the murder of babies.
You're right. That's what I'm talking about. So if we don't respect the unborn, we certainly don't respect the elderly that are, not able to take care of themselves anymore. They want to put them away, and we don't have any respect for life anymore. And so how would you respect an office or the living if you don't respect life?
Well, the National Right to Life organization And if you look up National Right to Life, you'll go straight to their website and search. I don't remember what it is, but they have what they call an abortion graphic on their website. And that abortion graphic is actually a graphic that was drawn up by a company that creates medical graphics and licenses them. They don't sell them, they license them. And what this is, it's a 4-panel cartoon, essentially, of exactly what happens when a 23-week-old fetus is aborted. It shows exactly what happens. And what happens is they reach in there with forceps and they rip it to pieces. And then after they get it to the point where they've ripped everything off of it that they can rip off, they flip it around and they bring the head down to the cervix and they crush the head so they can pull the head through the cervix.
Yeah. It's
and
not
anybody, and if I had money, I would be licensing that graphic and putting it up on every open billboard in the United States of America. Because once somebody actually sees what happens in an abortion, they're not going to talk about how great an idea it is that they should go and have an abortion.
You know, I held a new baby yesterday, just hours old.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing, the life, you know. And 2 weeks ago, I held another baby. My family is growing by leaps and bounds. I've got 2 grandchildren now that are 2 weeks apart. And one's a little girl, the oldest one's a little girl, and then we had a little boy yesterday. And it's just amazing. And even the children, you see them. The baby born yesterday has an older sister and an older brother. And the children they're just in awe at this miracle, this life that was just in Mommy's tummy. And 2 weeks ago, I had a little granddaughter. She's 3. She'll be 4 in January. She was just in awe at this new baby sister. I mean, the child's eyes can see. Why can't the adults see the miracle of life and see what's happening? You know, they don't understand it, but neither do we. But we just love life.
You know, we wouldn't have to be worrying about medicalization of killing fetuses if we hadn't long ago accepted the medicalization of live birth. That wasn't all that long ago. It's several generations now, but it wasn't all that long ago when if you had to go to a hospital to give birth, you obviously probably shouldn't have been pregnant in the first place, because of the fact that if you require a medical intervention to give birth to a baby, then maybe your medical doctor needs to be doing a better job of improving your nutrition to the point where you don't need a cesarean section to do that.
Well, that's not always the case, though. Sometimes those little babies don't want to turn around or put their arm down or do other things.
But the medical reasons for that are lost on MDs.
Well, we're not going to get into all of that. I mean, I agree that the doctors they get a little lazy. They want to go the easy way out, and
they don't. If they don't do a cesarean, they don't get paid for delivering the baby.
Well, I know a lot of doctors would have done that on me, and my doctor did not. And I did go ahead and have my children, but it was rough. So anyway, I'm going to let you go on that, Bill. We do love life, and we appreciate your call. Thank you so very much, and Merry Christmas to you again.
Merry Christmas, Bill.
We may not be alone in this world. Did you know that, Melody? Did you see the...
At this point in time, I'd welcome anything that would be out there compared to what we have to deal with here in this.
Well, this is talking about...
Except for our listeners and patriots of this country.
We want our listeners right here with us. That's absolutely sure.
Let's talk about aliens.
This is an Did you see the interview or part of it anyway last night? I just saw the interview that they had on, but I guess they'd had a big interview on it. Anyway, the ex-Pentagon UFO chief, I didn't even know we had one. He says we may not be alone. The man who ran the UFO unit at the Pentagon says that he had seen things while at the helm of the recently disclosed operation have left him believing Earth might not be the only home of intelligent life in the universe. You know, my dad used to say how arrogant we are and conceited that we would think we're the only beings that God created. My personal belief, he says, is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone. And this is Luis Elizondo. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Anyway, they had some videos and they were showing some things that F-18 pilots have seen. He says, we have identified some very, very interesting anomalies, type of aircraft. Let's call them aircraft, he said. Things that don't have an obvious flight services, any obvious forms of propulsion and maneuvering in ways that exclude extreme maneuverability beyond, I would sum up the health G-forces of a human, of anything biological. Well, what they were saying in the interview that I saw last night, that they're not necessarily watching them because they think that they're, you know, extraterrestrial, but that they might be another country, another nation that has come up with things that are even beyond our stealth, you know, because our stealth is pretty out there. But these, they're keeping an eye on them, and we have, and I guess we should have, we have a department that watches the UFOs. So I thought that was interesting, but that's me. I get kind of tickled by some of those things.
Yeah, I always thought, too, that the things that people see in the sky, and there's been a lot of strange things that people have seen, that I always thought it was government. You know, the various flying machines that they might have and so forth.
Could be angels. Could be angels.
Over. No, that is true. That is very true.
I don't want to stay on the dark side.
but I mean, I think those that are that are metal and of speeds and so forth. I always thought they were government, you know, testing. I mean, when are they going to test new flying machines and aircraft is at night and so forth. So, but yeah, I mean, who's to say what God has done? And
my dad used to go out and sit on the front stoop and watch the stars. He would just sit there and watch them. I'd sit there next to my daddy when we lived up in Kansas City. We lived in Raytown, Missouri when I was a kid, and he'd just sit out there, and that was about the time that Sputnik had gone up, and he was just watching the skies. You know, of course, you'd see the airplanes in the night moving, and he was just sitting there watching the skies, and I used to sit there by my daddy and do that. I got bored quicker than he did, but we have Joe from Arkansas on the line. Joe, how are you today?
Good morning. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Okay. Well, what I want to talk about today is I hear all the economic experts, or so many of the economic experts, saying that we're going to have a crash. Depression is inevitable. The economy can't keep going the way it's going. And, you know, I don't think a crash or depression is inevitable. And here's why. Okay, as I understand it, economic depression can have two causes. One is lack of production. The other one is lack of money. And so lack of production seems to be just a local thing. You know, it seems like there can be a drought somewhere and the farmers don't get a good crop that year. And so there's a depression in that local area due to lack of production. But it seems like on a national or global basis these days, you know, there's so much capacity to produce and so much ability to transport production around that, you know, we don't have depressions anymore, you know, really big depressions except in local areas. We don't have really big depressions due to lack of production unless there's someplace with a really oppressive government and the government, you know, just keeps people from producing, keeps people from working, keeps people from going into business, and then they can have that kind of depression. So if we're going to have depression, it would be, you know, due to lack of money, of course. And I understand there's been a number of times in the country's history where the banks have created a panic, they've created a depression by restricting the supply of money. But as long as the banks are willing to keep on creating the money, and I understand the biggest panic or depression of that sort was 1929, you know, when the stock market crashed and we had the depression of the 1930s. But now, you know, as long as the banks are willing to keep on creating the money and keep on pumping it into circulation somehow, then it seems like we cannot have a depression due to lack of money. And, of course, with this huge debt, and, of course, we have an economy that's largely based on going further and further in debt all the time. And so we have that business. And, so the economic experts that say it's going to crash, they always say, well, we can't keep up the payments on the debt. At some point we're not going to be able to carry this debt anymore and the economy is going to have to crash. But, as long as the banks are willing to keep on figuring out ways to restructure the debt and keep on finding schemes to put money into circulation, as long as they're willing to use all kinds of creative thinking to keep on doing that, there's no reason we have to have a depression. It seems like they seem to have an endless capacity to do that if they want to. It seems like the only thing that would stop us from keeping the economy going would be a lack of will on the part of the money creators, the bankers, to keep finding some kind of a scheme to restructure the debt and keep pumping money into the economy and keep things going. And the other thing is now, of course, with the cryptocurrencies, more and more business is done over the internet, and these cryptocurrencies make it, possible and convenient to do business over the internet, and they're coming more and more online. And so it seems like, with the combination of the banks being willing to somehow find a way to keep pumping more money into the economy and people inventing things like these cryptocurrencies to keep commerce going over the internet where things are largely done these days, it doesn't seem to me like there's any reason why we really have to have a crash. We might, especially if the banks decide to restrict the money supply and not to restructure the debt and all this kind of stuff. But if they're willing to keep on doing that, it seems like there's no reason we have to have an economic crash. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. And also, Lance from Texas yesterday said he'd like to get in touch with me. And Lance, my telephone number is 479.
Are you sure you want to give that out on the radio?
Sure. My telephone number is very, very public. I've done this before. Nothing bad has ever happened.
Go ahead. Do it again.
I put it out for my business. 479-442-6194. 442-6194. Lance, you're welcome to get in touch with me. Thank you very much for this time on the radio today. Goodbye.
Thank you, Joe. I hear music. We're headed into a break, and I know that you're probably going to want to say a little bit about that. And the number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks with Melanie and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our Listen and Schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann. We're in the final segment of today's show. It is Tuesday, December the 19th. And anyway, Melody, you want to address what Joe was saying?
I do, of course.
They have a different opinion on this one.
What I believe is not all about an economic collapse. There's views that we're going to be going into the dark ages with an economic collapse. The dollar's going to go to zero. It's going to be replaced. I mean, there are just there's so many different types of ideas of what and opinions on what is going to happen that folks have strayed from the fundamentals. It has always been the bankers that have screwed up, excuse my language, that have messed up the economies, that have created bubbles, and bubbles break. I mean, you can go back in history, and that's truly what we're talking about today. We're talking about a debt bubble. That debt bubble is going to break, just as all bubbles break. And we have seen, various times in the past of recessions where we get bailed out by the banks and by government just so, they because of their agenda. And they do have an agenda. And we've had the banks, and we've gotten the governments, and we've got the Wall Streeters around the world all combined synchronizing global economies. We're globalized, whether you like it or not, and that's a big you better hope that our economy collapses, because that's what's going to break that chain. But the whole point is, they're going to print until the cows come home. Eventually the cows get there. And it's not about the economic collapse. It's not about it's about how people protect themselves. Ever since we went into a fiat currency, ever since they took us off the gold standard, we're on this path. We've seen bigger government. We've seen more socialized programs. We've seen our government. We've lost our freedoms and our liberties. So I think that if these banks and government and Wall Street continue to bail us out by printing more money, we continue to lose our freedoms and our liberties. I don't think you can have both over a long period of time. I don't believe we're going to have a Mad Max day. I do believe there is a day of accountability, a day of reckoning, accountability that is coming. And so, yes, there will be adjustments. Call it what you may. You can call it an economic collapse. You can call it, a global collapse. You can call it what you might. And just as they did in 2008, there were businesses too big to fail. Government came in and rescued them. And who is that on the back of? It's on the back of the taxpayers. It's on the back of the future. It's, we talk about children and grandchildren. What do they face? Because this debt has to be paid for somehow, some way. Sure, as long as they have the printing presses, they can print, and that's coming in, there's going to be circumstances based on the recklessness that we have seen, that government has done in the Federal Reserve and the combination thereof. And again, my vote for President Trump is basically for two things: Supreme Court, and for when it collapses, for when we have these difficult times. Because I think he will be there, and he will be the best person to pick up the pieces. And so we're there as long as we have a fiat currency. It's got this bubble, and that's what it is. And all bubbles break. Now, call it what you may, economic collapse. We have wars. You have disruptions of, you can have disruptions of production during wars. We're going to have if we have a World War III, that's going to be we have the mother of all bubbles. Now we have the mother of all wars. So there's a lot of things that come into play. And what's keeping this system is confidence. Confidence. And that's so easily broken. You can have a bad day and people change I've seen the confidence, the trend for confidence, on a scale, it can go from high confidence to zero confidence in a matter of hours just based on something, that's said or done. So, no, I believe we're in very dangerous times. I don't think we really have much control on how this plays out. It's going to play out. But what we can do is focus on the fundamentals of gold, focus on the fiat system, focus on understanding the inflation that we have, and understanding how you can protect yourself against that inflation. We can't look to gold on a day-to-day basis. It really is a long term. You can take that $20 gold piece from 120 years ago, and it buys the same thing today. Take your paper dollar. What does it buy? Does it buy the same thing from even 2 years ago, 3 years ago? No, it doesn't. So again, we have to preserve our purchasing power. That's what it's all about. And people have been focusing on, the currencies collapse, the world collapse, and I do believe the world global leaders are feeling pressure. And we have Greg Hunter on our program this afternoon, Financial Survival, and he's right before he comes to the program, he's going to do an interview with David Stockman. And he also is doing an interview with Armstrong. And Armstrong is saying, hey, Europe is really concerned about if these multinational corporations begin to transfer these trillions of dollars back to the States, it's going to destroy Europe. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of tugging going on in the global arena that people don't feel it, don't see it. We're absorbed in our daily, lives. I mean, we're just struggling to get by. People are out there working hard. They see their health insurance go higher. They're trying to provide for their families. There is a lot going on that truly can disrupt. And again, we might not have war like we've experienced war in the past. It could just be an economic war. And we've had stimulus coming from all these governments that is making these economies great or seem great. I'm not going to say the economies. You have stimulus from these governments that's making stock markets go high.
Yeah.
How long can that go on? So people do need to, and people work hard. I work hard. Beth works hard. You work hard. The listeners. Why allow them to destroy your what you've worked so hard for? Protect it. I mean, you truly will be financially free with gold and silver. You are not in their system when you have a backup like gold and silver. So so important. We focus on the prices of gold. Oh, gold's going to go to 8,000. Cryptocurrencies are 50,000. I truly believe cryptocurrencies is all government. Why do you think the prices are going? Who else has that kind of money to make something like that move? Governments. Not our government, world governments. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that, are just not kosher. That just doesn't seem to be working in the manner that it should. And so I don't know if that was an answer to Joe's view on the economy, that he doesn't believe that there will be an economic collapse. He doesn't see that one is coming our way, but I'm not sure what's coming our way. And
Would they have called the Great Depression a collapse? I mean, it was a depression. Would you call it a collapse?
Well,
there's different things that can happen, and something's going to happen, but it may not be recognized as an economic collapse. Like you said, the wars that bring things down, and some of the other things.
And I don't mean to interrupt. We don't have time. We have Jeff. I just saw this. We have Jeff in Texas calling.
Yes, Jeff. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good morning.
What do you got for it?
Two people that I used to listen. One of them was Jim Cedarstrom, and he was the one person that I used to love.
Uh-huh.
We're having trouble with his phone line, Jeff. Jeff, you're going to have to call back tomorrow. We're having trouble with your phone line, and where music's playing, and we took too long. Melody took too long.
You didn't interrupt me. You should have.
I should have. You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt you. I hear music. Jeff, call us back tomorrow. We're having trouble with your phone anyway. We couldn't hear you. You've been listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be back tomorrow. And don't forget that on Friday, we want you to call in and tell your favorite Christmas memory. And you have a great day. Melody, have a great day. See you in the morning.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.